Okay, here at the start of the Second War in Plantagenet, not a lot's happened except for me being sick. But in the first turn, the Yorkists swept in and took out Jasper Tudor. He's still in the game and will come back, but they established themselves in Wales and are trying to get themselves into a position where they can gain control of it. Now, to gain control of Wales, they need 3 more locations, so it's kind of painful. I was considering sailing to Bristol, moving up to Gloucester, doing some influences here, moving up, etc. Might have been wiser to just move to Chester instead of setting up the Bristol thing, but this offers me more options. In the second turn, basically nothing happened. The Lancastrians are concentrating on taking the south. The Yorkists are using Salisbury to try to take the north. And of course, for the most part, what's been happening is just preparing, doing taxation, gathering up provender, setting up ports, stuff like that, just so that we can start acting. Because I've gotten a better feel for the game, and honestly, I can shoot from the hip a little better than I can plan things in this game. That's not the case in most of the Levian campaigns. I know some people said Inferno is probably the strongest at, in terms of like, you know, you don't have to do as much planning and everything. I didn't find that to be the case. I found that the planning was different. It wasn't as related around supplies, etc. However, here, I'm finding that it may just be familiarity with some of the mechanisms of the game. Because this is the second time I'm playing a full battle scenario, right? None of the others have I done that in, where I've played an entire scenario and played an entire and started a second scenario afterwards. I fiddled around with some of them, Almoravid and Nevsky, for example, before I started playing, but I didn't get a full grasp. And I feel like I have a better handle on this one, maybe, than some of the others. And that may be the main cause. Because honestly, this is a hard one to get your provender and your payment, which coins is the factor there, under control. But it's not that much harder. And honestly, this one gives you less of a penalty in a sense. Your penalty is going to be causing disaffection throughout the land, you know, causing locations to kind of switch sides from you, losing influence points, stuff like that. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to go probably play a little Civ 6, probably way too much. I've got to get up tomorrow and be awake during daylight hours to be able to go shopping. Assuming that I'm strong enough to do so. Today, I probably should have done it in the morning, but I still feel too sick. You can hear it in my voice. Anyway, with a better historical knowledge of the lords and whatnot, certainly of the Tudor side, pointed out an interesting question. Wasn't Jasper Tudor the Earl of Pembroke? Well, not the Earl, but wasn't he Pembroke? And the Pembroke title and lands were seized by Edward IV. This is me working out of here to get the information as an answer, and given to the Herbert family. William, I believe, was made first Earl of Pembroke. Now, it does bring one of the issues to bear with this kind of character-related, you know, where we have individual people in play, designs where the scenarios don't necessarily match the historical situation. So there would be, without Edward being crowned and being the de facto king, essentially, there would be no reason for Jasper Tudor's lands to be seized. So, you know, what you had was kind of a rebellion against this transfer of land, and I don't think it would be fair to say that the Herberts would have enough power in Wales to be able to challenge Jasper Tudor's title. So there's a bit of weirdness there, and it's just something that you're going to have to deal with when you're playing, you know, the full campaign of this. Is there may be things that kind of grate against each other and don't feel quite right, and you're going to have to come up with some sort of hand-wavy type explanation as to, well, who the hell this is and why he's able to mount a reasonable rebellion or whatever in Wales. And, you know, your historical knowledge, if it's stronger than mine, will help you to do this. But personally, I'm just passing it off and ignoring it. But yeah, it is an interesting thing. And it is a factor in terms of, well, you know, should he even be in the game in this circumstance? You'd have to make all new lords and all kind of new situations try to explain away situations. And I'm fine with doing it this way. Probably because my knowledge is so limited. All right. Well, here it is, Thursday, and I made a real effort to go shopping. Like, woke up early enough. I'm still too sick, and it's really getting to be a problem. I have stuff that I can put in me for calories, but man, some of it just tastes horrible, and some of it is... I'm running out of everything that's kind of at all reasonable. On top of that, I made another attempt to contact GMT. Their website is so painful, the interfaces there. I don't know if the first one got through. I really don't know if this one got through. But I actually found out that I had canceled both orders, which of Fire in the Lake, which makes me worry that, like, maybe they delete them from the order when they process them, and maybe I didn't cancel them, or maybe I did cancel both. I don't know. I may have actually ordered it 3 times and canceled it twice. It's their whole mechanism for, like, pre-orders is just such a fucking pain, because somebody will, you know, their newsletter comes out and I see something and I say, I don't remember ordering that, and I go in and I order again without thinking. But then quite often, just as I'm doing that, I go back and I delete right after I order it, you know, and it's just, they really ought to give you a warning. You've already ordered a copy of this. Are you sure you want a second one? I don't know. Because it's been a regular thing for me, like almost everything. Anyway, let's get started with the Levy phase. We're going to be going slow through here. I don't know if I can make it dancing tomorrow or whatever. Remove Lancastrian favor from London, or if neutral, put Yorkist there. Sounds cool. Play if London is friendly to York and Warwick's there. Yorks get a bonus on their influence. I don't know how valuable this is, but the capability isn't one that I really need. I don't have anybody who can take advantage of it until I hit here, when the Yorkists actually come in. The Yorkists can't sail. Ha ha. Well, that kind of screws Warwick's plans. You set things up. You never know when it's going to happen. And Yorkist lords must pay 1 coin per levy troop action. Probably not going to happen. Now we have to worry about payments. I think I have enough coin on everyone to get them through actually the year possibly, but certainly the next couple turns. In terms of the cycle, so most of the levy and campaign games, the cycle is I need to make sure that I have enough stuff to handle, to cover the moves that I have. I have to make sure, that I have the provisions and whatnot. And coins are only really used in those other games to keep your forces in the field. And if you don't pay, they disband, which could lose you the game. So, but basically, if the service markers are reached, you've got a problem. So right after a battle or at other times. So in terms of getting cash, it's generally something that you have a lot of planning around, but it's not too hard to manage. But here, the cycle is very different. It's this, hey, you want to tax heavy early in the year, and then when you get to the waste phase, you want to make sure that you want as best as you can to just make it through that turn in terms of paying off your troops. Of course, again, in some cases, it's okay to pillage. Anyway, time to do the complex stuff and try to figure out what the hell I'm doing with each of these. Having trouble doing levies in a phase of the war where not much is happening, just in terms of it's not easy to figure out what the hell to do with them. Salisbury was the easiest for me. I picked this up, which gives me a bonus on service for vassals, which might bring them back more quickly. It's too late, in terms of this one. And grabbed myself some extra troops. And also did an influence up here at Bamberg. My influence is quite low, or the Lancastrians is quite high, because I also spent some to grab Ipswich with Warwick and to get Suffolk over there. This is kind of the, hey, what the hell do I do with my points? Now that's 2 of his 3 lordship. What was his 3rd one? I think I forgot to do the 3rd one. The 3rd one should be a cart. Yeah. So I did not do another influence with him, I think. I wanted to get I want to reduce the Lancastrian cities, but I didn't really have any that were easily available. And once you start traveling too far, it starts getting really expensive to drop your influence down. Pembroke, I grabbed another ship and a couple more carts. Not that I need these, but the extra carts are kind of useful because when I hit the wastage, I think I get half of them. No, actually, I think I just get reset, don't I? I don't know. Something halves, something resets. Where is it? Province carts, ships times half. Yeah, so those actually do get halved. And the coin and troops are restored to your standard. Now, notice that I didn't complain about the troops going home, and not being able to recover them and everything. There's some abstraction going on there, but that doesn't bother me the way the coin did. Even though I've got my explanation for the coin, I still don't quite accept it. But yeah, getting lots of excess carts is actually useful. I don't fully waste them. Over here, and I didn't want to grab a lord because I'm not at the gain lords and influence step yet, and I only get 7 cards this turn, so 3 lords should cover that. The Lancastrians probably do want to grab another lord. Screwed up, I forgot about this card here. I would have had to pay an extra coin for Salisbury to do a levy troops action. I think it's worth it, mainly so I don't have to reverse things. He built himself up some longbowmen and some militia in the town there. I don't remember if I mentioned that. Probably didn't, but yeah. Now for the Lancastrians, a little weird because I had a couple of things that I definitely wanted to do, one of which was summon Oxford. I haven't put on the board. Doesn't gain me anything. Exeter wouldn't gain me anything, and Jasper and Northumberland are not yet available, so these were my only choices. And I want to start generating additional lords just for the movement, etc. Give Somerset a ship. I'm thinking about a naval action in one direction or the other once I get control of the south. Henry levied some additional troops because why not? I'm at 4, 8, 9, 10 now. I can still levy 2 more without it being a problem. But I wanted to keep my influences so that I could muster Oxford and also muster Norfolk. I chose for Somerset to muster Norfolk because Henry's got such a big army. Although Somerset's is quite potent with 2 vassals in play, with the Trollop extra, Valor, etc. But he's going to be the center of my army. That gets us over to the campaign side, and we're definitely breaking. I feel so helpless at this point, just in terms of life. It took such a massive effort to convince myself that I could go shopping, but, then I had this coughing fit, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just not ready. And I can see it's kind of gray out now. I don't know. If I don't go dancing tomorrow, I can go shopping instead, or maybe I can get both in, and otherwise, it's supposed to be good weather for the next few days. Although, if I do go dancing, I'm wiped out on Saturday and maybe even Sunday nowadays. Funny, I'm sitting in front of the computer, fucking around, playing Raid, whatever, all day. I feel fine. I'm tired, but I feel fine. I decide, hey, I got something going on down there that I can leave alone for a while. I'll just walk up here and play the campaign part of the turn. And I mean, I make it up here. The cold air hits my throat or whatever. And between the motion and the cold air, I'm thrown into another coughing fit. I'm going to continue and try, but Jesus, man. And it's a 7-card turn at this point. I've decided just to use 1 Pembroke, and I haven't interleaved them yet for various reasons, but my intention, I think, is to sweep back around this way. I probably want to get more taxes because at this point, Pembroke doesn't have a lot of cash on hand. That's one of the reasons he's there. He can also gather some additional provender. Movement's going to be slow. I'll probably do some influences with Warwick. How am I going to interleave them? I was all worried at one point or another about Northumberland coming in, but he's way over here. He's not a threat. The reason that I have to go through these gestations or whatever is the Yorkists aren't allowed to sail. So that's going to get in my way of what all my intentions were. I already discussed that. But over here, I'm going to be squeezing Henry and Somerset together. And I think this works, this pattern here. I'm going to leave 1 Somerset out and use 2 Oxfords. One of them is going to be at least partially for taxation. See, he has 2 coins. He actually doesn't need to. The question is, do I want to gather all my forces together? Conceivably, I think I could ship everyone. It's a pain in the ass. Sail here, I have to look this up. So sail tells me what? 1 ship, it gives me it. Per 6 forces, per 6 units, 2 provender and 2 carts. So if I have 3 ships, I can't bring all my carts and I can't bring all my provender. This would be 2. Yeah, I don't have enough ships to bring the entire force to bear. So it might make more sense to use Oxford to try to influence areas rather than try to bring him in to join with Henry. Am I terrified of where he is? Not really. I think, though, I'm going to slip his cards in like this. That's 3, 6, 7, yeah. And we'll get started. Again, I don't think that there's anything too exciting that's going to happen, so I'm going to step away and just report back on stuff rather than, fiddling with each of, doing all the fiddling on camera is basically, there's no reason for it. Being ultra careful and moving slowly, like moving a space, eating your food, not collecting up a lot of supplies and everything. The game is fairly simple to actually play, but you're probably not moving at the optimal speeds. However, I'm not in any particular rush to get anything done, and everybody kind of had certain hindrances in their way. So I went with that slower progress, to tell you the truth, which I think is a mistake, but it does take away the difficulty in trying to calculate everything out, and I'm getting most of what I want done. Maybe it would have been possible for Salisbury to have completely taken the north on this turn if I had worked him out a little better, but he didn't have a lot of food on hand. So what we've got is Henry and Somerset have finally connected together. They have a fair amount of food stored by. They're in a port. They could leave that, and they have the south under their control. And haven't done a lot of damage, a little bit. Oxford is just slowly moving and converting territories. And again, this is the move, convert, and pay your food. It takes you 2 actions. You move and you convert the space, and now you don't have anything left. And then taking the next turn to collect up 2 supplies, and then move, convert, and feed. It's not the most efficient way to do things, but in some ways, first of all, it is easier, and it's also pretty close to what you can do. Anything else, you might be pushing limits. And as you can see, Oxford's out of food, so it's not like I've got a lot of excess there. The thing that I'm not doing, so what's advantageous with a 2 command? It's possible you could move 2 spaces with a 2 command, but 2 spaces means you don't convert territories. And the only thing I really am trying to do is to convert locations, and make sure that I have the cities and towns in my side. And then we do a quick grasp. What are the tides of war for this turn? A north, a south, and a Wales. Still. Domination. Only the south is dominated, and those are worth 2 each. Then London and Calais cancel out. Harlech drops that. And towns and fortresses cancel out, but cities is worth 2. We have the capability cards, though, and this is the big deal that's really helping the Lancastrians, which is 3 more points. Because they're legitimate, I guess, is, as long as they're not really challenged, they're going to gain more power. And this is not a lord's turn, so we just shift over, and that's it. And it feels like a really, really simple turn. It really, it never is, because the programming and everything does come with some cost. But as long as nothing's happening, the system is reasonably lightweight. it's still, you know, a lot heavier than another game, you know, like your standard hex and counter type game. If there's no reason for anything to happen from either side, it's just kind of like a pass on both sides or whatever. Or imagine like Kingmaker, where you're just kind of blundering around. Kingmaker feels so weird to me. This feels so much better. Like, here I'm actually doing something that feels like military campaigns and whatnot. What I do miss from Kingmaker was the Parliament and the political rules and all that, which are represented slightly in the cards. But just like with the military, to be honest, Kingmaker gets those very, very wrong too. Really, one person, you very seldom had a situation where you had, you know, lots of different factions at the Parliament. The Parliament either supported one ruler or the other, and the people who didn't wouldn't show up, you know, in general. But again, Kingmaker handles things in a very, very different sort of way, where everything's kind of stepped back a great deal, and some of that maneuvering and everything is kind of behind the scenes type stuff that, you know, I'm having trouble making words fit together, it seems. Anyhow, that's it for now. We're on the Levy here. And why is Norfolk there? Because he's going to have to be paid for. Only with influence, though. So it's like, I mean, influence is victory points, but it's not as painful as paying money. Well, here I am up here. It's Tuesday, Halloween, nighttime. It's been a while since I played. Not going to play tonight, probably. I've got a bunch of raid to do. I slept all day because my internet was down. But I did get a response from GMT, and I want to cover that here just because this is the only place that I'm talking about it. I'm not going to make a video on it or anything. But yeah, they got back to me after like 3 attempts to contact them. I finally just went direct email instead of their website shit. Their website has real problems, period, the end. And that is actually probably the issue here. And they got back to me and they're like, well, you had two orders and we consolidated them. So we deleted the originals and put it in that one. So it was my mistake. And I'm not at all shocked by that. I went back to curate my list of P500s, and yeah, I had another one that I had 2 copies of the same order. And this may have happened at other times before. I seem to remember there being something that was similar, but I don't think I have a second copy of a GMT game, so I don't think it actually happened. I know that they sent me something I didn't ask for a game that I don't own, and I contacted them about that, and they're like, well, we just sent that to everybody on our list. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Which I found really weird, but I wanted to make sure. But look, I have regularly ordered twice of the same thing, and I usually catch it. Here, apparently I did not, and apparently there was a second game that I've done the same thing on. So it's clear that I can no longer cope with the GMT P500 web page. And I think what that means is I'm done with buying GMT games. I did that final curate, but you know, so many times I see something on the mailing that comes out, and I'm like, oh, that's new, and I go back and I order it. I don't remember. I order enough fucking GMT games that I can't keep track of it all. So anyway, I guess that's the end of me ordering them. It is possible that something is just so exciting or absolutely enthralling that I have to grab it. But I kept all the P500s I have right now, except for the other one that I have a duplicate on. Because I was able to go through the list and curate it. But you know, that site is just so horrible. The fact that it allows you to individually order the same thing again and again and just puts them in this contiguous list that's really hard to manage and deal with. You know, if you only have one or two orders, it keeps all your back orders listed back there. It doesn't really like set them up so that like orders that have been processed or whatever get cleared out, you know, or put in lower on the list or something. So you really have to pick through the entire order history that you've ever had. It's just really, really horrible. And then when you delete something, it throws you off the list. So you have to go back to the list and start over at the beginning, you know? So it's like very easy to fuck up on that thing. It is just designed for failure. And, you know, I was able to cope with it, I guess, throughout all my other time. I think maybe I made this error once before and GMT got around to me and fixed the issue. Something makes me feel that way, but I don't think I have another case where I have two copies of the game. So unless they like covered the cost of the mailing back, and I don't think that happened. You know, nothing's really changed on their side, but that mailing, like, that P500 page is just so fucking bad. And it's clear I am no longer able to deal with it. And I'm done, you know. And here's somebody who orders, you know, 5 or 6 games a year from them, honestly. You know, that's what it's gone to recently. I tried to cut back, and they've just lost that. They've lost that because of that stupid page, and, you know, they could make it so easy. You order the same game a second time off the same, you know, off the P500 system or whatever. If you reorder the same thing, just give you a warning. You sure you don't really want a second copy of this? They do send you an email when they're about to ship it, or they don't send you when they charge it, unless you have not given them your credit card. But they do send you one when they're about to ship it that tells you the total cost of what all is coming. And maybe you could stop it there. And maybe that's what I did before, is like, whoa, I didn't want 2 of this. Yeah, I didn't read the email very carefully this time. I just looked, $75, that's about the price of a game, fine, whatever. I didn't realize, and it's not, you know, here's the thing. It's not like I'm going to get to play all these games I'm ordering. There's Fall of Saigon, another game on the Fire in the Lake, you know, expansion, and I haven't played that yet. You know, I got Border Reavers downstairs. I was planning on reading the rules to that. I'm getting new games faster than I'm getting new GMT games faster than I can play games, is what it's coming down to, or at least faster than I can play GMT games if I put my effort into so many others. And I have so much else to do. It's like one of the reasons why, screw it with Axis Empires, I'm not going to order a complete new, you know, I'm assuming it's another $200 just to get a couple of little additional changes, you know, a couple of changes to the system that were promised to us as an expansion pack. I expect that out of Decision games. I expect that kind of fucking around and changing their mind with stuff. GMT has always been so good with their customer service. I was really expecting them to somehow make this right. I don't know how. Certainly delete the cost of one of the games. Now I'm going to have to send it back to them. That means, you know, I get about 2/3 of the price back, a little less than that. Plus I had to pay shipping for both coming in, you know, so I got to pay shipping both ways. So honestly, I end up paying $10-15 for something that doesn't exist at all. And I'm not saying they should, I don't know. I don't know who should take the blame here, right? Like, I used to be able to cope with that P500 page. I don't think I've made this mistake before, but now I can't. I'm too old and confused. And, you know, honestly, there are so many of us at this age that, you know, or, you know, older, who are beginning to have some mental difficulties. Don't make the website so fucking hard to cope with. Anyway, I'm guessing, you know, a lot of people have made the decision like I have over the years of, yeah, I just can't handle this thing. You know, I can get these games just as cheaply through other mail order entities and whatnot, even even outside the P500. So, but I won't. The P500 made me happy. I'm dealing with one company. You know, their customer service had always been so good. And, you know, there's nothing terrible with it if it weren't for how fucking bad the website was. Anyway, rant off. I don't know when I'm going to get back up here. I'm having trouble wanting to come up and play. Not because of this game, but because while I was sick, I started playing Civ 6 at the end, and I've just been playing a lot of it. And I still don't feel terribly good, but I think I'll be up soon. It's just I got a lot of raid to do tonight. After that long rant, I posted on BGG about the issue as well. And it turns out that there are actually a couple of tools on the GMT website now that resolve the issue for me. Yeah, I got screwed, you know. But I caught one before it got sent out as well. But now I won't make the issue again. The situation won't happen again. What they've done is there's a little warning when you're about to buy, you know, at the add one to cart, if you've already ordered one. And that's very helpful. I mean, obviously other people had this issue, right? And then the other is there's an order status page that shows you how many of each thing that you've got on order. It isn't absolutely like things that are currently in shipping, which means that you may have already actually paid for it and had it sent and whatever, are still on there. But again, it gives you a nice overview of what you see. I'm very glad of this because I love my GMT games. They're the only company that I trust enough, like with what they put out, to regularly put out games that are, you know, relatively complete at this point. I would trust the gamers, but honestly, I had this same situation with a P500 on them. I don't remember which game it was, but I made a P500 order on theirs that I ended up doubling up. I got 2 copies of it, and I'm like, ugh, I didn't want to. And I contacted them, same solution, send it back, you know, pay them money. And the money's not the issue. I mean, it is. I'm not made of money, but I can afford to make this mistake every now and then, just like I can afford to lose my lighter every year or whatever, or have it stolen from me. But I can't afford mentally to know that, like, I'm going to be fucking up regularly. And now I see their website is such that, yeah, I'm not going to. I got to get back up here and play some of this. You know, so much of this video is on this, and this is totally irrelevant, but you're used to my shit right now, if you're watching these. Now it runs to Wednesday, November 1st, as I try to rack my brain for reality. And, I mean, I've been well enough to be up here playing. Raid has put a big demand on me recently, but on top of that, a whole bunch of I don't really give a shit about anything has been in play. So I'm going to try to push on. It's unfortunate, like I'm sure that I played this turn on this video. It's just unfortunate how long a period there's been. Luckily, we've got a grow turn. Some of the things are going to recover a little bit. I will try my best to pick up the flow again, but I'm just badly lost here. I do still remember, I think, a lot of the mechanisms in play, even though it's been quite a while. And let's start drawing some cards. I'm not, you know, it didn't take a lot to bring me up here. It's funny, yesterday I would have really had to force myself to come up here. Blocked forward, this is a hold card. And Earl Rivers, add up to 2 militia to each Yorkish lord on the map. My choice. I don't really want to add militia to most of these forces. Right now, we're not in a position where battle is imminent or anything like that, but I have space for an extra unit here. So I will give Pembroke, wherever the fuck he is over here, an extra militia. And the rest are all filled out. Oh, the first was a hold, okay. And then we come over here, leeward battle line, a hold card. The archers, new act of parliament. This campaign, Yorkish parlay, takes entire command card. Oh, parlay, what the hell is that? That's where you're trying to convince people into stuff. That's going to be pretty painful. Because the whole goal of the campaign for both sides recently has been to convert territories. And if parlay takes an entire command card, that means we have to rethink what we're planning on doing for this turn for the most part. That's okay. And what do we get to? We get to the pay. Looks like we were clever enough to have money on everybody. Interesting question comes up. The lords, I don't want to disband any at this point. This is a turn where Gain Lord's influence is coming in. Definitely don't want to... Excuse me. Shit. Well enough to play, not well enough to speak. Definitely don't want to get rid of a lord at this point. This is the time where the influence comes around. But the question is, Norfolk here, I'm on the turn where he disappears. I have to pay an influence to keep him. Is it worth it? I don't know. If it weren't for this card, I would definitely say, yeah, he should go away. But honestly, I think I should just peel him away anyway. I've got him with Henry here. That looks pretty safe. However, Norfolk, see, Norfolk's not aligned. Where does he start out? Arundel. I want Arundel to be here because the Earl of Arundel was here, but that's something different. I don't know where Arundel is. It's down here. It's not likely to change hands, but it's just he doesn't last very long. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he takes forever to come back. So it's like he's just not that committed to this whole thing. But I don't want to keep spending influence on him. I've got a nice lead on influence. Of course, that may, again, force the Yorkists to battle, in which case I do want him there. I don't know. It's hard to make my decisions. We're on the muster phase. I got to go get a pipe and then start figuring out what the hell to do with the Yorkists. Now, parlays during the levy step don't have any special cost because this is only on the command card basis. So, supposed to grab Devon, 1, because he's worth 4 influence points, which is kind of sweet. It cost me an influence to try for him. Using Warwick, it's pretty easy. And not only did I get him, but I flipped this 2 ranges, so the city's points have become even. So overall, it's really a good move, even though I have no real use for him, maybe militarily or whatever. But yeah, you know, if I'm playing this influence economic game, he seems like a really good deal. I'm going to probably have to disband someone. He's the only lord the Yorkists had available at this point. The York family is still a ways off from being willing to support their own cause. This also does something interesting. Exeter and Northumberland are both blocked from starting at their home areas on this turn, which is, there was some sort of cleverness in getting the Northumberland one. This one I definitely realized, but this was inadvertent cleverness that I just ended up here in Carlisle at the time when mustering more lords would matter. Now, these lords can still be mustered. It's just they're not going to be at their favorite seat. They're not going to convert the seat over. They muster at the locale of the mustering lord, I believe. which is a totally different thing. Or maybe at a place where there is a lord. I don't remember what the precise rules were. I'm probably going to want to bring some of these in, but at least one of them, Northumberland, for the big 4 points of influence. But that'll take him out of, the area where I really wanted him to be operating. Whereas next turn, these guys probably won't be here. And Northumberland could then swing Carlisle over, again, a 2-point swing. So there's this weird situation where I was like, geez, do I want to hold off on him? It's not like my other lords are particularly useful for me to grab, although Jasper Tudor would get me Harlech, which is worth a real point of influence every turn. So maybe I want to bring him in instead of Northumberland. I don't know. But right now, I'm doing the mustering for the Yorkists. Long ago, I can't tell you for sure, but I'm wondering whether or not I gave the points for the Lancastrians for the whole of the South. They have that. I think so, because I seem to remember something of they got their goal, they didn't type of situation. I could go back and look in the videos. I just don't have that kind of energy. The same reason that, keeping track of what my pre-orders is hard for me. I just don't have the energy. So long that I haven't played that a lot feels kind of new, just the thinking and everything, and I feel like I need to speak. It also may be that it's been so long since I've spoken on camera that I have more desire to do so, coughs and all. Anyway, so far, Warwick grabbed the We Done Deeds of Charity because I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but getting influence seems like a good idea at this point, because it's going to be hard to grab stuff. And I also grabbed Gloucester, I'm told to pronounce it, not Gloucester. Goddamn language. Okay. And I also did Pembroke. I just grabbed a whole shitload of carts. We're coming up to waste. I'm going to lose half my carts. Might as well have tons and tons of them. I really can't think of anything to do with him. But that brings me to Salisbury. And here I got real problems. Well, not problems. One thing I could do is this turn I can move here, use a card to convert this. I'll be in the north, and that's fine, and I'll have grabbed it. And that probably seems like my best goal. In which case, what do? Grab 6 carts? I don't want to grab another ship. That's going to go away too quickly. And there's really very little else for me to do. I could spend influence on things, like trying to grab a lord or something. But again, I don't think I'm going to be fighting a battle. I think that's what I do. I mean, honestly, I think I just keep grabbing carts. And we're out of 3-point carts, so... yeah. Something feels, I don't know, very different about this game from the other Levian campaigns in that I really feel like I'm struggling to find things to do. That's part of the blundering about idea here. The idea of trying to, force somebody to battle or whatever just doesn't seem that valid. For whatever reason, this kind of concept of controlling the IP track, and it does seem important to try to mitigate this advantage the Lancastrians have right now, is really what I'm fixated on. And there isn't a lot I can do to affect that right now. All right, we'll go over to the Lancastrians, and I am really talky right now. Okay, so it was a little different than I thought in terms of if I want to muster, say, Northumberland, or Exeter, but I don't want to muster him. If I want to muster Northumberland somewhere, it's not with one of my lords. It's at any free seat of mine, but it has to be free of enemy and friendly lords, which is really kind of weird or whatever. So Somerset's is Wells. Does it have to be friendly? Must be free of enemy lords, or that side must have at least one of... yeah, it has to be friendly. So it can't be Wells. Can it? Oh, yeah, it can. Yeah. Not necessarily the best place in the world to go, but whatever. It could be, of course, London, which puts me in close connection with the rest of my force. Might be a good idea. And Oxford is, no, it could be Oxford as well. What it can't be is I couldn't do something like bring Jasper Tudor in, convert Harlech, and then bring Northumberland in. I think I'm going to be going for both lords, again, playing the game for the influence chits for this, and we'll see how this all works. You know, we're kind of exploring the system to see what happens in it, because this one's very different from other games. It may not be that big a deal to bring somebody in, get their points here, and then dump them. Of course, we get their points again here. This is kind of the tight place where over a course of 3 turns, you get Lord's influence twice. Jasper, I want more for Harlech than anything else. Jasper, and I noted something where, you know, I was assuming I had Northumberland available. I don't. He's way out here. Yeah, he's not available till the Yorks come in, so it's not a big deal, all that discussion there. It wasn't that clever. He's not available. Exeter, I could bring him in. He's only 2 points. It cost me an influence to bring him in. I just don't think it's worth the effort, so I'm going to look for other things to do. Oxford has cards he can grab. He's also not been on the board very long, so he doesn't have a hell of a lot in his favor right now. But what does that all mean? I don't know. Oh, Harlech is not a fortress. Don't move that chip 2 spaces. And additional points gathered or used by the Lancastrians. All right, what did we do? We grabbed Clifford and the Haywains for Oxford. Just, you know, give them a little bit more defense, give them a little bit more capability to do things autonomously. There's nothing I can do for Tudor. But Somerset and Henry, what did they each do? One of the points was spent on Oxford. One of the points... yes. Somerset picked up a boat. Even though we're close to the waste phase, I need another boat to be able to sail effectively with this force. I have enough boats I could carry all my troops on them, believe it or not. There's a lot of troops, but in terms of provender and maybe carts, I was running, I would have had to lose a cart, I think. No. 3 would have been 6 carts. Now I can carry 8. Yeah. And in terms of provender as well, I'm going to still have to lose one. I would have trouble moving my entire force, and I'm thinking I probably want to sail this, maybe make an attack over here. But that left me with 2 more points left for them. I used those 2 points to convert Calais. So now I've gotten all of the sort of special locations that aren't cities, towns, or fortresses. That is the end of the Levy side of things, and that puts me to the campaign. And we take a break because we are still sick. I feel the energy and everything, but I also, you know, plus I like breaks. Here I am being a little bit more verbose again, I think. I'm trying to puzzle out my choices for the Yorkists. I have a lot of lords, only 6 cards to play. I made a couple of thoughts. Salisbury here has to move to Applebee's and take control of it. Taking control takes an entire card right now. Moving there, well, I'll have another action off of that card and whatever. I'll grab some supplies or whatever. Doesn't really make much difference. Good enough. Devon, I'm going to want to tax with him. He only has 1 coin. That'll get me through this turn, but I'll need at least 1 more for the Gain Lord's influence before I discard him. Probably 2 more, because I think I gain the influence. I get to discard him during the pay phase, right? It's a little different from Lords may disband, then must pay. Yeah. No. Oh, this is what I didn't do. Oh, shit. I forgot to pay the influence for lords. That would be 3 lords on the Lancastrian side, 3 lords on the York side. It would have canceled out. But yeah, your choice to disband happens here. After you pay your troops. Not clear. Not clear at all. I think those happen sequentially. That's what's in my head. It looks like it here. Next they may. Finally they this. Okay, so it looks to me like they do these in sequence rather than... It's hard to tell with just bullet points, but that's what I remembered, and yeah, the rules seem to support that. So, but either way, I would need 1 coin, 2 coins, 3 coins, which means maybe I want to tax twice. I got 2 orders here, that's fine. I do have a money problem. We look over the rest of my forces. Salisbury only has 1. His tax location, he has Falkenberg, I don't know where the fuck he comes from. Dover. Nowhere near me. Suffolk is another possible vassal at Ipswich. Again, not really close. And I don't think, oh, I do connect all ports by sea. So that gives Warwick a lot of interesting choices. One of the choices that I have of interest is, do I want to go fight my way back to Harlech? It's a pain in the ass to get to. So I think I'm going to probably use Warwick to move around by boat. We've chosen those. That means I have 3 more actions. I think they'll all be Warwick actions because I don't see Pembroke doing anything in particular that's of any interest. And then the question becomes, how do I interleave these? And I don't know the answer to that. So I'm going to turn this off, and if it's of any interest, I'll come back. But I doubt that it really is. There's not a lot of interaction between the 2 players right now. Money situation for the Lancastrians isn't much better. Again, no vassals. You know, I had a couple over here, but they're kind of out of reach. Although Warwick's going to help raise money one way or another. Who's going to be a problem? Salisbury is going to be a problem. That's where we're going to have trouble keeping the money. We'll probably end up disbanding him next turn after he pays his coin. But we can't disband everybody, right? That's the whole thing. And you got to keep something running on that little engine. All right, now over here on the Lancastrians, Henry's only got 1 coin. He takes 2 per turn. That's a problem. London is not exhausted, but depleted, which means I can get a couple of bucks out of London. How many? I think probably 3. Somerset, his home is Wells. It's exhausted. Oxford, I'm free. I grab this. Jasper Tudor, he can tax at least once. Might as well grab some cash. We'll see what happens. But that means I only have 4 cards left. Henry definitely is going to want to do some stuff. The question is whether or not I have any real use for Somerset's cards here. Or whether I want to... Basically, my reason would be to be able to do an extra thing. Because I'm going to throw 3 of Henry's cards into the pile. And again, interleaving, you know, what I chose to do here was put Warwick last to give maximum flexibility. Probably the same thing here. I'll put Henry and Somerset last. Is there something Somerset can do? I don't have anything really in mind because I don't know what I'm going to do with Henry's force. the main goal of the Lancastrians is to be able to collect more IPs than the Yorkists, which I think I do best by taking an extra Oxford turn. And I'll probably leave the Henry turns to the end as well as the Warwick turns, again for maximal flexibility of action. A couple of actions by each player. Devon, you know, what I'm finding is I only want to tax once because cities produce a couple of money. So I've got enough to get me through, and you don't want to waste by hitting that waste space. And you know, you don't want to waste your resources from the few locations you can tax. So where you've got a city that you're going to do it from, taxing once is probably sufficient. Harlech, not so good, but I only had one space on that. So Jasper did an influence action which was successful in Chester, evened up the city's total. Oxford's a city, so he only taxed once. Again, just not to create too much. And he does a supply action here in Petersborough. Doesn't want to do that from Oxford because that would deplete his only taxable resource. Doesn't want to do it from Northampton because that's just a town. It doesn't have, it only has one provender instead of two. So you make all these kind of decisions in a way that I don't feel like you have the same kind of sort of trade-offs in most of the levy and campaign games. Maybe there are different ones, but this feels different. This feels like I'm making different kinds of more economical calculations. Again, I keep coming back to that. This feels more like an economic game. It really does to me, with this being the money and the victory points, you know, at the same time. Salisbury has a more complicated situation. He grabbed some resources and did a move. His next card is to convert, we'll just do that, is to convert Appleby, because if I don't convert it, it's just not mine. Nobody's really moving except Salisbury did a move. And that takes a town away from the Lancastrians, essentially, in the net value of things. But yeah, you want to be sitting at a locale that's friendly to you at the beginning of each turn. And I know I'm out of Salisbury cards, so I have to do that now. And that's what I planned for. And what do we got coming here? Another Oxford. I don't know what the hell he's going to do. Probably a move and convert. Warwick has interesting choices, and I don't know what I'm going to decide on here. I've got 3 cards. I can do all kinds of stuff. I've decided to abandon Wales to Pembroke, or to Tudor, sorry. But because I have the great ships, I can trace over to Calais. Now, I could do 2 influence actions on Calais. That's going to cost me 4 influence points. I could move to Calais and then take it over with one of my next cards. I think that's my best action, to tell you the truth. And can I carry all of this? This carries, let's see, ships carry 2 each. So this carries 4. I've got 4, which means I can carry 8 carts. I have 6 here, so I can carry this extra one. I can carry all the troops that I have, and I can carry 8 provender. I've got 5 and 6. Ooh, that's not good. I'm going to have to leave behind a lot of provender that I had collected up before, but I do think this is my best move. I sail there, that takes the entire card. Now, after I sail, I have to feed. I can't eat beforehand, which makes sense, which will be 1 off each. And then we'll be going over here with a similar thought process. Hey, what the hell's Henry up to? Things have gotten a little more exciting. Henry piddled around a little bit, taxing London, but then he ended up doing a naval move here to join with, over here, to put a threat on Devon. And then Warwick, after taking control of Calais. He sailed there, spent another card to take full control of it. Then he sailed in to defend Devon. And now we've got things set up so that there's a possible battle. Henry's up next. Does he want to fight? Does he not? It's an interesting call. I don't know. I've spent some of my IP. If I think I have a successful battle, this would be very useful. I have one card for fighting. I don't know how many cards the Yorkists have collected up. They have more. I know that Henry has probably about twice as many troops as anyone else. I have Somerset with a vassal with him. He's a little on the weak side as far as I'm concerned. Which means maybe I just want to sail out of there. That would feel like I've given something up, though, which I don't like the idea of. But there's really no way out of here other than via Exeter. Remember, there's a slight advantage to attacking, which I wouldn't get. You know, there's no reason for me to sit around as the defender. So then the question becomes, do I want to sail out of there? Where the hell can I go? I could go to Calais, but then I can't convert it. I could go someplace that I own over here in the next to the channel, but there's nothing really I can do. So I kind of think my best move is to attack. I got blocked out by Warwick here, which means I can do a conversion of Plymouth, and then we'll do a big battle. And this could be pretty big in this second war already. Now I kind of no, I thought I lost track of something. I have this flank attack, play to intercept without rolling to become attacker in battle, but Warwick moved in after Henry had moved into Cornwall. So yeah, we're going forward with the attack, but it is hard for me to remember these. You know, when they're all battle cards, it's fine. But I've got a couple that are not in my hand, and those are more. Hey, I should be kind of, you know, driving my decisions off them. Stepwise, Henry decides to take the center-facing Warwick, and Somerset facing Pembroke. Pembroke has the slightly larger force out of Devon and Pembroke for the flank sides. Henry has a really large force, but maybe not the best. He doesn't have any valor whatsoever, where Somerset has 3 with Trollope on his side. And a lot of his troops are militia. I think I had no. I was thinking I could raise troops before I marched in, but there is not a raise troops option off the commands. That only happens during the levy phase, which is normal for levying campaign. I don't know why I was thinking that I might be able to raise forces during my march, but I just did think it. But I do have the leeward battle line, which is going to help a lot because I have a lot of missile troops in play. So here we go. Fire was Henry's big shot here, right? With this reducing his losses, he ended up still taking a fair amount of hits, 2, 4, 5, 6 hits. I don't think he saved a single one. Devon, on the other hand, when we got to the retainers, everything else kind of got shot up without any saves, but when we got to the retainers, they saved every single time. Didn't have to waste valor or anything. Taking a look over at the other side of things, Somerset versus Pembroke. Somerset got away pretty light. He took one hit that was successful against one of his longbowmen, whereas Pembroke, you can see, got shot up a little bit more, but these were not the big firings that you know, Henry versus 2 lords ended up being. Because Henry has basically twice as many troops as anyone else, but he's shitty. That gets us to the melee side. After melee, I'm a little confused here. I don't think Henry did a damn thing to Warwick. because I think I took the hits on Warwick, and it doesn't look like anything happened. I'm a little confused, but okay. Henry got knocked out and has been routed from the battlefield. Somerset barely survived, used up all his valor, keeping various things alive. You know, you can only use one valor for each die roll, so you have to kind of. He had 3 valor in hand, but he actually used one on a man-at-arms to try to save it. And yeah, spent all of them. So now we hit the aftermath. Somerset is going to flee the battle at this point, which reduces his chance of dying. So why don't we go through the aftermath on camera? Because battles are so infrequent, I certainly don't have it memorized what I do. Okay, so the reward is influence equal to the sum of the printed influence ratings plus 1 per vassal of the lords who fought on the defeated side. That's going to be a big 10, 11 points of influence. Battles are big, man. They swing that the whole economy thing. They can throw it completely out of loop, which is the thing. It is still a war game. You know, bringing someone to battle successfully is worth a lot. Spoils. We're in a friendly area, so we take all the losers' carts and provender as we wish. Well, I don't know what we wish. All right, losses. There are no unrouted lords. Yes, there are, over here. So I'll make the rolls to see if Devon and Pembroke get to keep their units. There are no cards to influence this, but it's the death check time. Each side rolls a die for each of its routed lords, 1 by 1. Defender first. A routed lord dies on a 3 through 6, but -2 for fleeing. All right, so the biggie is Henry dead. Henry's dead. What about Somerset? Now, Somerset gets replaced by another member of the Beauforts. Dead. Okay. Effects of death is disbanding, remove their seats and their lord cards. There's going to be a special rule for Somerset here. Actually, there's a special rule for both, because Henry gets replaced by Margaret. Yeah. Which is really Edward. Okay. Now, after moving some cards over there, let's look up the special rules for what happens. And these should be the same as they would have been in the first scenario. The Plantagenet go to war. Lancastrian succession. We're going to have cards that get removed. Now, let's try to find where this happens. Special rules. For heirs removed in play, conduct succession as above, adjusting arts of war. Yeah? Great. Lancastrian heirs are Henry VI, Margaret, Somerset, and Somerset II. Okay. If Henry is removed, add Margaret to the calendar box 1 at setup or next box in play. Okay, we're going to need the swan. Wow, Margaret's... No, I thought she had 4 action cards. So, Margaret's counter comes in. Is that this? Hell no. It's going to be red. This is the swan. And what is her home? It's France. Margaret is London as well. So, and she will be available in the next box and able to be mustered immediately. But not in exile. It's important because if she was in exile, it might save an actual loss. Right now it's not a loss because there's still a couple of Lancastrian lords on the board, but you know, just as and Henry is gone from the game, I'm going to throw him over there. Well, Actually, he should be in this box. I don't know. Let's check the Beaufort. Okay. Somerset. Well, okay. We've got some card changes I have to make, but where's the Somerset succession listed? I think we just switched to Somerset II, and that's not going to affect anything unless Somerset's been made king. I'm not seeing here is where Somerset goes. Here. Any removal of Somerset, whether king or not, replaces Somerset I with Somerset II in place. In place. 6.2.2. All right. Swap Lord cards of the mat currently in use. I think he's got to go to calendar because he was removed by death. Like, otherwise, Somerset would be still sitting here. That doesn't make any sense. So I think he goes to calendar. On the next turn box, and during setup into a calendar box as directed. Yeah. So Somerset's going to also show up immediately, I guess. Wells is still his home. And yeah, you know, this is going to be kind of, it's not great for the Lancastrians, let's put it that way. And now we look up the card changes, and the first thing we do is we remove the cards that are Henry VI, and then we add the cards for Margaret. And this is going to take a little bit of effort. So I moderately fucked up in the first part of this war. And caught it. It's the and caught it that's probably the more interesting point. Card 31 for the Lancastrians was not supposed to be in the deck here. It's one that shows up added for Margaret. I don't think I've used it. And had it come into play and had any effect, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. Card 27 shows up, but there's one more thing other than my battery not. Stay there, you little shit. Don't you dare. Oh, other than my battery not paying attention to what it's supposed to be doing. Which is, so long as Margaret is king, add these. Okay, she uses card L26 Edward as per the first war. So we go back here and try to look to see if that tells us anything. I don't know where I'm going to find this, right? I'm assuming it's going to be in here somewhere. Muster of Margaret immediately assigns Arts of War L26 Edward to her mat as a free mandatory capability. Her disband or removal sets the card aside rather than back into the deck. I don't know what that means. The capability returns to Margaret if she musters anew. Okay, so where was I? I find that card. Hold on. Assume this will show up in the third deck as well. This Lord Levy's special vassal Edward for free and has Valor +1. The Henry released. I don't know how that comes into play. Is this just a 2-star? Yeah, this is just a 2-star card. So this is kind of weird. Like, presumably, you know what's happening? The historical situation can't happen. Henry isn't going to be locked up like he was at the beginning of the actual historical Second War. So you're not able to get the historical type of events happening when you're playing the campaign. What happens instead is, oh look, Henry might be away, but he'll keep popping back up. There's no option, and that's why if we look back here, under Henry VI, there were special rules for Henry getting out of the game without the capture of the king rolls instead of killing him. Which, again, that's the historical result. It's not being allowed in the Grand Campaign. I'm a little saddened by that. I don't like when you can't have the actual historical representation that the game provides possible when you're playing something else. I just feel like a little bit more work could have allowed for that. Probably not very much, since they already did the work to do this. They probably came up with some kind of inconsistency that said, this doesn't really work in the campaign. It screws things up. But whatever. It just makes me unhappy to see something like that. And I think that means we're ready to do the final thing in every turn, which is the end of campaign. We got the Tides of War. Let's do that quickly. Yorkists have a point in the north, and Lancastrians have a point in Wales. Domination. The south and the north are both dominated by opposite sides. Favor in London cancels out Calais. Harlech gives 1 IP to the Lancastrians. Most favor at cities is even. Fortresses and towns cancel out. And capability card text, we got rid of all of the valuable cards on the Lancastrian side. They've just had their major advantage and their strategy nuked by this situation. But then we have the influence rating of on-map lords, which is only 4 for the Lancastrians now, which means 4, 5, 6, 10 points in favor of the Yorkists. And they sure swung this around real hard. The Lancastrians chose to make that attack. They had some advantages, but they were low in terms of men-at-arms and most especially vassals and whatnot. And there's an extra retinue because there's an extra real lord. So there were definite problems with that, but they made this move into Plymouth with the intention of trying to cut off one lord without thinking too carefully, without making a wise decision, as it were. And they got kind of bottled up in Cornwall in a way that was not good. Sure, I could have escaped, but to do what? You know, to go back into the south where, you know, I'd have gotten another influence point. It would have certainly been wiser in retrospect, but hindsight and all that. What is a hind? I can't remember what a hind is. I want to say a rabbit, but I don't remember. Anyway, I will have to look that up online, and I won't tell you, and we'll load this up. Actually, I might tell you on the next video during the what just happened.